With the likes of Usain Bolt, Johan Blake, Veronica Campbell-Brown, and Shelly Fraser-Price beating the best in the world, Jamaica is now officially recognized as a global athletic superpower. These superstars all started their career on the local stage at the Girls and Boys Championships. However, the reality is that of the thousands of athletes who compete at championships every year, only a handful will go all the way.
Recently, I saw a statistic that said right now in the UK, out of 10,000 young boys who are in elite football programs, elite football academies, about 1% of them will ever play professional football. We don't know what the statistics are like in Jamaica, but the reality is that it is only a minority of our athletes who will ever go on to play professional sports. So, a lot needs to go into preparing them either for success as an athlete or for life if athletics doesn't work out.
That's the concern for many sports officials, as young athletes are oftentimes exploited for the greater good of a school's athletic program. Academics have been forced to take a back seat for many athletes as schools become more concerned about doing well in sporting competitions. Over the years, local athletes usually flock to universities in the United States of America, with most of them being forced to complete a junior college program first because of academic shortfalls. However, with the success of Jamaican athletes who've trained at home, staying in Jamaica has become more attractive. Because of this, the University of the West Indies has sought to play its part by offering scholarships to these students. But giving a scholarship is easier said than done.
We have seen quite a number of athletes who have applied, certainly to the University of the West Indies. We have offered some scholarships, etc. What we find, however, is that there are times where there are challenges with student athletes coming out of the secondary school system and not having the requirements to come to a University of the West Indies or any tertiary level education system.
These scholarship offers are oftentimes rescinded as the students do not measure up academically. The University of the West Indies' sports director points out that the secondary system oftentimes gives athletes a pass to move on without acquiring the necessary academic qualifications. But the UWI will not be lowering its matriculation requirements to benefit its sports programs.
We have seen student athletes don't have the requirements to go to sixth form, but they are in sixth forms for secondary schools. We have seen student athletes who have stayed in these schools for a period of time, but still don't even have 1 or 2 C6 at the end of the academic year. And that for us is a real concern because we want to help to develop these student athletes over the next few years.
Dalton Myers says his office is stunned by some of the academic records they come across.
There are some student athletes, if you look at their academic records now and they have completed the formal education system, certainly at the secondary level, you're really shocked to see what has happened, you wouldn't believe that this is happening, and I think it's just something that we must look at.
He says the problem is so common that some local track clubs have been forced to include remedial academic programs for select athletes.
There are track clubs I know of, certainly in Jamaica, when they get some of these student athletes, they have to try and do some remedial work with them even before they enter a university, or even before they start their program with these track clubs. And also when they are in the clubs assist them with math, English, some of the other remedial things that they think they will need to survive in life. So you have to give kudos to some of these track clubs who take them after a while and really work with them.
But sports researcher Julian Cresser points out that despite the fact that some schools go to extraordinary lengths to have athletes eligible for a competition, all stakeholders are responsible for the development of a well-rounded athlete.
Why I think then it is necessary for parents, for coaches, for school administrators to ensure that athletes who are spending a lot of time in sports are also having other skills developed. Now, other skills isn't necessarily doing well in English or science, but skills that will help them in whatever career path that they end up pursuing.
He says with added pressure coming from outside forces such as alumni associations, the athletes sometimes pay the ultimate price.
It could be a matter of students being advanced to levels that they have not met matriculation standards for. I believe there was a case recently around Champs where a prominent athlete was in sixth form, but the allegation is that he had not met the normal qualifications for being in sixth form. Now, if a student like that is accommodated in such a way solely for the purpose of having him available to represent the school, then I would think that that is a case of exploitation.
He points out that the sad reality is that the schools oftentimes find creative ways to have students remain in the institution to benefit the athletic program.
There is a situation at another school that I know some years before where a successful Money Cup team had a number of players in fifth form and they didn't get the necessary sexy results to reach sixth form. And a transitional sixth form was created for them. Now, that helped some of them because it gave them the opportunity to do over sexy while starting A levels, but many of them simply dropped out of the system, and after they had gone, the transitional six was shut down, having served its purpose, which ultimately was to accommodate these athletes.
Both men agree that more needs to be done to ensure that athletes benefit from a balanced high school experience.